welcome to Community Conversations. I'm your host, KK Conachero. Why the Fremont Unified School District's mission is to provide the best educational opportunity for its students, keeping those students safe is its #1 priority. Since every emergency situation is unique and unpredictable, preparation is key to ensuring the best possible outcome for students, staff, and property. Fremont Unified has worked hard to put policies and procedures in place to protect students and has partnered with local first responders to prepare for a wide variety of emergency situations. With us today to discuss these preparations are the District Risk Management Director, Ming Vu, IT Support Administrator Mary Lassica, Sergeant Mac Bocage, and of course, are you Captain now?
Deputy Fire Chief.
Deputy Fire Chief Emil Thurston, and our favorite co-host, Dr. Jim Morris. Thank you so much for being here. Now, I would like to start off with, or maybe I should start with you, Ming. How would you say that the school district is prepared for an emergency situation? I mean, there's so many variables here. We've got earthquakes. We've got those lone wolf kind of bad guys. You've got anything out there. Well, how do you prepare for something like this? How do you even make a plan?
Yes, we do have plans. We do have training.
Okay.
We do have, emergency equipment and supplies and all of those things. But the question is a great one because as far as I'm concerned, being a risk manager, you can never be prepared enough.
Right.
I mean, there are always things that we could do a little bit better. But in terms of, are we, doing our responsibilities for parents and teachers and students, we have all the pieces in place to ensure a safe environment.
Okay. So for a person who has no children in the school like myself, should an emergency situation happen, how do you communicate to parents?
We actually have several
Okay.
strategies for communicating to parents, and I think Mary can talk about them in particular. I think that the basic principle that we really try to follow is we try to get as much information as we can out as quickly as possible, because there's nothing more discomforting to a parent
Right.
than to know something's going on and not have that information.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really, in our experience, we've learned we have to work hand in hand with the police department, with our public information officer, getting information on our website, sending out email and text message and voicemail messages to parents and staff.
Wow.
The more information we can get out quickly
Uh-huh.
is probably the best kind of comfort we can offer to families. I don't know if you want to talk about some of those information systems?
Well, and what we really want to stress is the website is going to be a major source of information because you can get more details there.
Okay.
If there is an emergency at a school site, something is posted to the school website, but also copied to the district website
Okay.
for other parents that are interested in that information. The calling is available, the texting is available, depending on the scope of the emergency.
So when do you collect parents' cell phone numbers? When the child is registered?
That's absolutely correct.
Okay.
And on an ongoing basis. And I would say that the caveat for parents, because folks really need to understand how important it is that we have accurate, current information. People change jobs, they change telephone numbers,
Right.
they change email addresses, and it's so important that they let the school know as soon as that number or that email address changes, because that in real life situations has been our biggest problem.
Right.
Parents who haven't gotten information because we don't know how to contact them.
Right. Okay, so should a bad guy come onto campus and start shooting, is this information also on the police website to keep parents up to date? Because they may not think to go to the school district. They may just go to the website for
Correct.
the police. Do you guys work hand in hand with that, with the same information?
Absolutely. So we
Okay.
have a public information officer that works hand in hand with
Okay.
the school district's public information officer. They work collaboratively They communicate things before anything's pushed out to the public, and we generally try to be on the same page.
Okay, and same with the fire, right? So
Yeah,
if there's a
likewise with
fire-
the fire. And most likely if there's a large-scale incident, we'll open up what they call a joint information center where we get all the PIOs together so they can share information, and then they can put it out through various medias to the public. So it's just not one stream of information coming from one source. All the sources would then start sharing the same information, and then other agencies can tag on and spread that information further. And that's how really, from an incident command standpoint, for public information, that's what you would really want to do if there was a large-scale incident.
Okay. The other thing I want to know, just because I want to know, when an emergency situation happens, regardless of what it is, if it happens in a classroom, does the teacher have to go to the principal first, or can the teachers just immediately call 911? Is there a protocol, or just call 911?
Absolutely. The
Okay.
teacher needs to get the best and quickest response that they can.
Okay.
And certainly if something happened medically with a student, a teacher certainly would be expected to call
Okay.
911. We really try to make sure when an incident is brought to the office of a school, they let us know right away. And that's why we really try to post that information as soon as possible. The school district is kind of a complex organization. You know, if something is happening at a school, we need to let the delivery drivers know, don't go out
Oh
to
my
that school.
goodness.
We have to worry about school lunches and how are we going to get the food
Wow.
out to the school. So it's a pretty complex internal communication
Right.
system we have. But the bottom line is, the sooner we know, the better off we can respond and get resources to help at a school.
Okay. Now, because of the day and age in which we live in, you know, every child out there has a cell phone. So if there is a lockdown situation, are the kids encouraged to contact parents or not? I mean, or can you even give that kind of policy out there to children? Because it's a scary situation for them.
No, absolutely. And in our experience, you're right, that is something that you can't control and you
Right.
don't want to control
Yeah, okay.
in most situations.
Okay.
Because a parent is number one priority, is my child safe? And
As with ours.
yeah, yeah. And getting that information to a parent, it's critical.
Yeah.
And so while we want to make sure that we're getting accurate information out, we wouldn't stop a child from
Okay, good.
communicating with their
I always
parents.
wondered about that. Now, can I ask you a question?
Certainly.
So, should a bad guy come onto campus, are you at every school, or are you in charge of every officer, or how do they communicate to you?
Sure. So the Fremont Police Department has had a long-standing relationship with the Fremont Unified School District for many, many years. The latest iteration of that began in 1998 with the school resource unit.
Okay.
So that's comprised of 6 officers plus a sergeant. Each one of these officers receives specialized training and is permanently assigned to each one of the 6 high schools. So that is where their desk is, that is their office, that is their beat, effectively. They stand poised and ready to deal with any type of emergency on those particular campuses, in addition to responding to the attendance area schools for that particular high school as well.
Okay.
And I really wanted to give a shout out to a person who is not here, but who is also working very closely with you from the school district side, and that's the Director of Student Support Services, Greg Bailey. Well, he actually plays a big part in the overall security scheme, working with the Fremont Police Department to provide training, set up protocols, and things like that in those
Okay.
instances.
Absolutely.
We, from the school district perspective, we never have a doubt that if there's an emergency situation at the school for both the fire department and the police department, it becomes their top priority.
Yeah.
I mean, we have seen it
Which is
time
awesome,
and
yeah.
time again. Something happens with kids in this community, there's no question that becomes the focus of everyone's attention, which I would say from my perspective is probably our strongest partnership in this community, is really just keeping kids safe. Everybody is there to help us.
Now, should something happen at a school, is both police and fire automatically dispatched, or is it just depending upon the situation?
Depends on the nature of the emergency.
Okay.
Certainly, if there's going to be a fire emergency, we will work obviously with the fire department to help address that. And the instance of a police emergency, dangerous intruder on campus, that sort of thing, that's going to be primarily a police response police-directed command post.
Okay.
But certainly we'll have fire stage, and depending on the nature of the incident we've seen in the past, it's kind of part of the training that we've all kind of gotten along with, is standing up a unified command post where you place
Right.
every one of the decision makers of these organizations in one place at one time, so they can make decisions together and everything goes smoothly.
Okay.
And it's just going to depend on the nature of call. If it's a
Right.
medical emergency, that's going to get transferred where fire would respond. If it is a dangerous intruder, an active shooter situation, that is clearly going to be a police call, and our call out would be in support of them.
Okay. Now, tell me about the drills. I know the police and the fire are constantly doing drills, but do we do drills with our own students?
Well, we have to.
Okay.
Frankly, some of that is required by
Okay.
law, so there are certain number of fire drills, earthquake drills, things like that that we need to perform at every site on
Okay.
a regular basis. But in addition to that, there's also safety committees and other activities
good.
that need to take place, and that's things that we continually work on. Mary, for example, with some of the initiatives involving technology, radio network, and in fact, there's probably something you might want to touch on in terms of potential improvements in the future for, alarms and
Yes,
things like that.
please.
Well, right now, we are doing an upgrade of our whole network.
Okay.
And so it'll be better to serve and support the community. So our Wi-Fi will be better. But with that given wired network also, we're looking at the possibility of a bell clock structure that also has a speaker for announcements. And in the case that you want a silent announcement, you can have scrolling text on the bottom of it,
Nice.
so you can send messages without necessarily everyone being aware.
Okay.
It's not as intrusive as a loudspeaker. So we're looking at all kinds of things because we're always looking at the future. What else will possibly need to run on this? Because as you know, technology is changing so quickly,
Yes.
and we want to have the best support we can for our community.
Now, each school site is laid out completely different from against each other. So do you have a safety committee per school, or is it just one safety committee that watches all over all
There
all
is
the
a
schools?
safety committee at each school.
Okay, good.
And that usually comprises, of certificated personnel, classified personnel, the principal or some
Okay,
designee,
good.
as well as, parents,
Oh, good.
representatives.
Okay.
So they form the committee to talk and provide training, as well as raising the concerns, not only from staff, but for students and parents and volunteers.
Okay.
And one of the things I think we've really benefited from is when we do have drills at school sites, we will have representatives from Fremont Fire Department or Fremont Police Department
Oh, good.
will come to the schools and offer coaching and critical friend feedback on how you can get better. What are some of the things that we saw that you can improve on? And obviously they have the expertise, their expertise in really coaching teachers and school administrators on improvements that we can make are very helpful to
Right,
us.
right. And I'm sure the students who see the police on site gives them a security blanket as well, so to speak. Right?
Absolutely. And they're not just there for that purpose,
Yeah,
obviously. They're
yeah.
mentors, teachers, participate in programs, just befriend the students. Law enforcement when appropriate, obviously, but they serve many roles on
Okay.
campus.
Now, do you go from school to school to school? Are you in an office overseeing everybody? How does this work?
So my office is at the police department.
Okay.
I have other duties as well, but my primary duty is to supervise this unit. So yes, I visit each campus. I check in with our officers. I approve the reports. Any critical incidents, we help one another
Yeah.
deal with
Yeah.
collaboratively. I spend a lot of time here at the school district. Actually, I participate on.
Did you give him an office?
I have a key to the emergency back door there, but participate on different boards and whatnot.
Okay.
So
Well, you bring up a good question. Keys. So when the police go to a campus,
Yep.
who has the keys?
well, we.
I mean, because if the person's locked in,
Right, precisely. So this is kind of something that's evolved over time. So each one of our school resource officers has keys to each one of the high school obviously where they work,
Okay.
and the schools in that attendance area. So in the event
Okay.
of an emergency, like you suggested, if everybody's on lockdown, how do we get in? Well, we have keys for each one of these school sites. Those keys are distributed to teams if we have to do room-to-room clearing and that sort of thing. Each team is given a key to access
Okay.
the school as necessary.
So should something bad happen at an elementary site, the high school resource officer can make sure his campus is safe and then go to the elementary to help?
Precisely.
Okay.
Exactly. Depending on the nature of the emergency, you're going to have the full support of the school resource unit, and
Okay.
we will get whatever resources we need from the police department as necessary.
And
Wow.
KK, the fire
Yes.
department also, we respond a lot, sometimes during school hours, but sometimes after the schools close. And we have a key box especially equipped with a special key
Oh.
that will give us access to any school campus
Okay.
throughout the district.
Why are you there after school?
If something
Alarms,
happens,
fires.
they have alarm systems
Yeah,
that
right.
go
Just
off.
one issue, detention?
Just have to check it out. Not detention.
Okay. Wow. What do you, I mean, we've had one lockdown, 2 lockdowns recently. Yes, so when a lockdown happens, the teacher, the principal, whoever calls 911 to inform, look, first responders, what's going on. When do you come into the picture?
Generally, the second call that school
Okay.
office will make is to our
So
office,
you
and
know.
then we start the internal communication. But it's even beyond a lockdown. What we really appreciate about both the fire department and the police department is communication. You really think about it: 35,000 students and 3,000 employees. Just about anything that happens in the city of Fremont touches this school district in one way or another.
Yeah.
And there are incidents that happen in the community on weekends that involve students or families, and we need to get support for kids on Monday morning because something happened.
Right.
That's the critical kind of communication that just happens on a regular basis, because no matter what happens in Fremont, there is a connection to the school
Right,
district.
right.
No matter what happens,
Right.
when it happens, what time it happens, and where it happens, somebody from this school
Right.
district is a relative, a friend, or was involved.
Do you also get the media to help you out to disseminate the information?
One of the things I think that's very, very effective is the Nixle system.
Okay.
I mean, it is amazing.
Everybody
when-
has that.
Yeah, really to the immediate community, and it's amazing to us how many people actually follow that.
Absolutely.
So when we have an emergency, yes, we send out information, but simultaneously when we're working together and it goes out through the Nixle system, very effective tool.
Okay. And for anyone who's watching and doesn't know what we're talking about, can you give them the link for Nixle if they want to sign up?
I don't know it offhand,
I
but
think it's nixle.com/Fremont PD, I think.
Or you can go to the Fremont PD website.
There you
and
go.
sign
There's
up.
absolute
There
links
you
there.
go.
They
Yeah.
can get signed up. It's basically a social media outlet. It's message.
Yes,
That's message board.
but it's only information
right. Correct.
as needed. Yeah.
Right.
So I cannot thank you for making people without children feel safe, and for the parents that have children in our school district feel safe. We thank you so much for being on the show. Really appreciate your work.
Of course.
And from everyone here at Community Conversation, we appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.